So now we're kind of down to the home stretch for page 1, page 2, page 3. Okay. And so we see we don't have any text over page 3. And then if we did the whole Tale of Two Cities, we need a lot more pages. So I'm going to show you a trick that I found out by accident. So I'm on page 2. So page 2 is locked. I'm going to lock both of the text components right now for that. Uh, and that just keeps me from shifting around left to right. If I change the style, the paragraph style, the text will still change. Okay. And if I do a wrap, it should still wrap around the text. Okay. So now I found out something by accident. I just tried it. If I go back to my elements, and if I pick page 2 here, and if I open this guy, and I can open it in Illustrator. In Illustrator, so I'm going to go in and just to help exemplify or make a bad example out of this. I'm going to change the color to green. And I'm going to go to my page, and I'm going to make sure that I picked this shape. So I copy, and then I found out this worked by accident. So I'll go back to InDesign, page 2 is unlocked, and I'm going to paste into there. And that layer pasted in there. I'm going to move it over, and I'm going to put it up in the corner. And I'm going to get the scale tool, which is this funky guy, or Alt E, that picks it. And then bottom right corner, Control Shift. And I can scale it to match the size of that. Now, I'm going to use this as a shape, not as a number 2. And I'm going to go up here and change this to be paper. No, not paper. I change this to be none. So now it's there, but it's not there. Okay. But it's here as, it's listed as a path. So if I turn it off, it's kind of turning it off. So it's there, but it's invisible, basically. I'm going to go to text wrap. The text wrap tool, if I pick that text wrap, I have to make sure that shape is picked. So the shape is picked. Okay, there it is. It's picked. Text wrap, and then there. And so you see what it did is that complicated shape of the number 2, it picked it beautifully for me. And so it really gave me everything I wanted. So it's a kind of a 2-step process, and it won't work on all your shapes, but it'll work on a lot of shapes. So I'm going to try that. Now, because that number 2 kind of fills up that whole space, it's just kind of awkward, and I don't like what it's doing. I could try this option, which jump to, or I could pick this other option here and then go in and adjust the spacing around it. And so what I really wanted to do is to not go inside here, but I wanted to go inside there. And so I'm going to go back to this option here, and then I'm going to add some additional shapes. And I just need a sphere. So if I go pick, oops, don't want that. Okay, Illustrator, don't save, bye-bye. And if I go to shapes, hold, click down, pick Ellipse Tool, and I'm going to make an ellipse here, and it added that, and I can nudge it and pick that one, scale him down, scale him over, and I'm going to nudge him up and over. And so I'm like, well, it's kind of working, but I'm going to need another rectangle in there. So I'm going to grab another rectangle tool and just put it in there in the top to make sure I got it. So my type is coming in there, but it's kind of weird. So I'm actually going to scale my rectangle tool down until it nudges into there. Okay, so lot of fudging around in here, right? You can see that. But if I pick these paths and I go to my text wrap tool, uh, I can start nudging these numbers a little bit. So if I wanted to be bigger, higher, or whatever, I can start nudging them to get them to be like I want them. And then I may want to pick each one of these individually to get the text to wrap around at. Okay, we'll get the last one here. So I'm going to lock these guys. Okay, there's fine. I'm going to do this one with two ovals. So pick my tool, pick ellipse. I'm going to go here, pick one ellipse. And I'm going to pick another ellipse. And then another ellipse right here. Okay, and nudge that one up and over a little bit. Okay, so now I have my text wrapping around that guy. And I can select that, go to text wrap, and I can go down here and nudge that to be more or less. So I want it to be. And as well as I can pick the other oval and jump back to layer, the other oval. And so that one is picked. And I can go to the text wrap tool, pick the number here, and then adjust that as needed. Okay, have it bigger or smaller. Okay, so this is to get the text wrapped around. Now, do I like the way this is laid out? No, because I'm not thinking about design. And I still have another problem. And the last one is that because I did all this wrapping of the text, my text is no longer uh, I still have leftover text. And so I have to pick that text. And remember, this line now starts with lately. So if I look in here, so because we did the text wrapping, that word before was different. So see where it says lately up there? I can pick lately here, pick it, go over to the right, pick that, selected it. And then down in the bottom corner, because remember I extended that all the way down, pick here, get this guy, and then I go back in, and then this, remember, this is going to be 3-column. And because I know I don't want it to go all the way down there, I can just have it go like halfway through the clock. Okay. And I was slightly sloppy when I did that. So the right side here needs to go much over that. And very subtle, but it made a difference. And then I'm on, this needs to go into page 3. So unlock that, move that to page 3, lock page 2 down, go to page 3, get the oval tool. Okay. Make sure I'm on page 3. Oh, I moved the wrong one. So, see, this is possession. So I moved the wrong one. Possession. So this one had to go down, and lately needs to stay up there. So lock down page 2. Good. Okay, and then get my oval circle tool. And I'm going to lock that, and then pick my circle. I made it big and in the wrong position, but I know I'm going to grab it and move it up, and it's like remembering the wrapping tools. So I really want it to hug the shape and then go to the text wrap feature and make the size there. So I really want it to hug the original shape, not take the shadows into consideration, and then do that. So anyway, and then the text is going to keep wrapping. And that's how we would keep going. So let's see what this looks like. So I saved the file. I should have saved a long time ago. I'm going to version up just for grins. I told you guys I version up all the time and I didn't do it. And then export. And then I'm going to do another interactive. So interactive helps me check my INT. That's good. Overset text on page 3. So it means that on page 3, that document just needs to keep on going. I have more text than fit, so I needed to do the 2-column. And then I'm going to export again, and we're going to do the print so we can see the bleeding. Export. And now I'm going to pick print. And up here, I'm going to pick, and I told you that I did this because I'm working on another project now where I constantly go back and forth between these two margins, options, bleed and slug. Okay, and I want to have all printers marks, turn off bleed and slug, export, and it's got overset text. It's just giving me that warning that my text is stopping there and it really wants to continue. So it's kind of a cool warning. I go back to my InDesign folder. I'm going to move these to the PDF folder. And then they're number 6. And then open those up. And lo and behold, here we have it. This is the print version. And you can see that my bleed line, so my shadow is getting cut off, but my shadow is getting cut off at the bleed line. But the trim line is right there. So it will get printed out to the edge of the paper, but it doesn't really need to go beyond that. So this part this allows for micro adjustments in cutting process. So a little bit of fudge area for the printer. And down below that line goes across. Now let me look at my other PDF file. This one here, zoom out. And so this is kind of what you get. So right now, this is the paper cut trim line. If I go down here, you see it's cutting off there nicely. That would be the bottom of the paper. Let's go back and look up the other file. We go to here. And so this is presenting it as individual pages. And so we can see that the bleed line is right there and then the trim line is right there. So, and that would work out cool. So that kind of concludes my quick and dirty way to set up basic illustrations, vector and PNG files, how to convert them to a PNG file, how to add text, put a title, have 3 different styles, use paragraph styles to make those adjustments. In InDesign, use character styles in Illustrator to make sure all your text is matching before you export it. Exporting Illustrator files as SVG files, importing them into InDesign, and then wrapping the text around that using either the imported shape or using rectangles and spheres or drawing a shape to go around. E-I-E-I-O.